Welcome back to Command West, Commanders podcast, where we tackle the latest Washington football team news and answer the hard-hitting questions like, do we want Davante Adams on this team? We'll cover that and a lot more today. I am your host, Bradley Roach.
I'm Tico Wells. What's up?
I'm Eddie Passarelli.
I'm Donnie Roach, and I'm still feeling great.
Yeah. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get into it. So we had a game this week, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
You
did.
don't have to tell any of us that.
The Washington Commanders defeat the Arizona Cardinals in a 42-14 game of a blowout. A blowout, gentlemen, that we were
When was the last time we saw a blowout?
We won a blowout. We won a blowout.
Yeah, right. And
From
the winning side.
In our favor.
From
When's the
winning
last time we
side.
scored
We've seen
35
some
2 weeks in a row or more?
Yeah, not since 1980 or something.
I'm sticking with my quote that I tweeted you guys. I am gobsmacked and giddy. That was my reaction to that game. I was astounded that we did so freaking well. I mean, and after the Monday night game, we all felt great about it, and then it just felt like it just got better.
Yeah.
You know?
It was a great week for these Commanders from Monday to Sunday. I mean, being on the road, no one talks about how hard that is. Being on the West Coast, or not on the West Coast, but being on the road, going from Cincy to Arizona, not going back home and staying in a hotel. Short week, playing in a different practice field is not easy on players. But when have we ever done that? Has Daniel Snyder ever paid out of pocket for us to go use facilities of a different and put up all of our players in a hotel? Like, we did it right, and you can see the difference that it makes.
You know what must have been incredible, guys, was think about when they got on the plane after the game
to go home.
Next 5 hours. I think it was Colin Cowherd. I can't just say, I think he was the one who said that. I heard it his, and I just said that must have been the biggest party ride home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, but
what
a clever coaching strategy, to let's not go home and have to fly out there a day before the game. Let's go out there and do our whole practice week out there. And it takes some sacrifice, and apparently they got a speech from Mike. No, what's the swimmer's name?
Michael Phelps. Yeah,
Michael Phelps gave them a little speech before. Well, I think the day before the game or something about what it takes to be a champion and sacrifice and that kind of thing. And and they made some sacrifices this week to do that. That was last year.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to start this show the same way we started the show last week, because I got a little pushback from some of the gentlemen in this. I got clowned down by you guys for wanting to talk about the defense. And I wanted to talk about the defense last week because I knew that this week was coming. I knew that there was going to be growth, and you can't talk about growth without what it started like. So last week we let up 33 points and the defense looked terrible. This week we let up 14 points and the defense looked much improved. So I thought we would start by talking about this defense the same as we did last week, because if we're gonna critique the defense, we have to be ready to praise them when they do well.
Sure.
So what was it then, Bradley, that you would say from a defensive side that stood out that made us so effective? Because you're right, we let up twice as many points the week before.
Yeah,
same guys. Was it just the matchups, or what?
I think that's part of it. You see what kind of our problem is, right? And I will say, I think a lot of it was game plan. It helps that we have Cliff Kingsbury, who basically built Kyler Murray from the ground up. Scouted him throughout his whole career and worked with him in his early development, so he knows Kyler very well. I noticed one thing, we let Kyler Murray scramble to his right one time, and that was a completion. Anytime he scrambled to his left, he was either sacked or threw it away or made an incompletion, which I just think is funny and very purposeful, right?
Yeah. Like, they were coached that way.
I think that some of these guys are starting to get in their groove. The communication is getting better. Jeremy Chin is talking. Mike Sanderstill and Emmanuel Forbes are talking together on that fourth down that really had major significance in the game because I'm talking about right before the half, Kyler Murray gets sacked on a 4th and 1 with like 30 seconds left on the 50. And we're like, let's go score.
Puts us in scoring position. Yeah.
Again.
The clock stops on that play.
Right. We'll score again before the half.
On that play, Mike Sanderstill and Emmanuel Forbes are chattering back and forth, and they are able to work off the coverage. They do like kind of like a mesh. They start out in a bunch concept, which is basically like 1 receiver's in front and 2 in the back, and then they do kind of like a cross. And that in the past, in other games, we've run into each other. We can't figure out who's got who. On this play in particular, they were able to talk through it. They had their guys, and Kyler doesn't like what he sees, takes too much time. Dorrance Armstrong gets a sack. Frankie Louvu was flying around. He was
all over the place.
All over the place. These guys are starting to get in the groove. Now, Eddie, like you said, matchup wise, I think we matched up pretty well. And we had a lot of, we knew this quarterback really well. So I'm still not like convinced that this is like a 14-point defense and we can get turnovers and sacks.
Yeah.
But it's improvement. And that's what
it's also very,
Absolutely.
Timely for the defense to shine. It's always easier for your defense to shine when your offense is clicking, because now they're scheming up different things on defense. I would think.
Well, yeah.
But you know what? We're going to pressure the little man who's 5'7" or whatever the heck he is. We're going to make him run around in directions he shouldn't be going. Yeah.
And it takes
a lot of those
it takes their run game away. And honestly, their run game was doing well against us. Had they been able to keep running all day, and maybe they still should have, to be honest with you, because they were getting big yards on run, but you start falling deeper and deeper behind.
They went up 7-0.
We got to pick the pace up.
They went right down the field and scored 7 on us, and it was like, okay, Jayden didn't look a little.
Yeah,
and they started that drive on like the 40 or 45 because we actually stripped the ball on the opening kickoff. We didn't recover it, but it scampered forward for them. So it was good for them. They got like an extra 5 yards. Start on the 45. 35 yards of that first drive was rushing yards. And right on that drive, I remember thinking, I remember thinking, I bet a lot of people are like, oh shit, here we go again. But in my head, I'm like, that was 4th and 1. They had to make a beautiful throw. Marvin Harrison, I mean, Noah Benogany was decent coverage. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. And that throw was so beautiful. In my head, I was like, it was 4th and 1, and it took a beautiful pass for them to get 7 on us. That's improvement.
Yeah.
And who
True. It's interesting because I was so frustrated by that. I was like, oh, we were this close to just coming away with no points.
And think about our history over the last couple of years. First session of the game, if the other guys got the ball first and they marched down the field and scored, what were the chances of us coming back with like any kind of fervor or excitement? Nothing. We were always just like, oh, good, we're already down.
Well, we've done that 2 weeks in a row now, too, because Cincinnati scored first, right? And we came back and scored right afterwards. It's interesting to hear you break down the defense that way, Bradley. If you remember, I said it to you that night. It's obvious, and I don't know the X's and O's, but it was obvious to me that the defense wasn't all on the same page. In the first 3 weeks, they were scrambling around. They didn't quite. And you could see them running into each other. Yeah. And I've said several times, it almost feels like there's not enough time in training camp. You need all these guys to get on the same page, and they're all coming from different places. It's a whole new team. They haven't played with each other, and so. I'm encouraged by the fact that the coaching is taking hold and these guys are starting to play as a team. And again, I could see it without knowing the X's and O's the way you just explained it. You can see they're working together, and Frankie Louvu flying all over the place is because he has a better trust of the guys around him. He knows what they're doing. He knows when it's time to shoot the gap and go, so it's really starting to click now.
So
that's still got that work to do on the run defense.
A name that I want to bring up is Dorrance Armstrong.
Yeah.
Number 92. 1.5 sacks.
Somebody gave him some
two
weed
sacks on
that
this
morning.
on the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it,
came up big.
sacks to a defensive player is like a touchdown to an offensive player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people wonder why they get so excited. It's
Yeah.
really hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard
You
to
get
do
like
in the
a
NFL.
great player has like 10 a season.
Right.
Right.
And that's a real that's a
great
superstar.
Yeah.
In fact,
That's a
I would say
superstar.
that there are guys out there right now who are thinking, man, I want to be the one that can say I sacked Jayden Daniels.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? 'Cause
Right.
he's
Oh,
so
yeah.
elusive. No
Yeah.
one, no one can get him. He's juking
But
people,
Kyler's that
making
way
them fall.
too. He's
Yes.
one of those quarterbacks. That's
Yeah.
an even more special sack when
Yeah.
you get a Kyler Murray,
And Tico, I want to, it's a great point. I love that you brought up Dorrance Armstrong because, this was his breakout game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
sacks, like you just said, sacks are like a touchdown. They may even be more impactful because, right, you only get 10 of them a season, or if you're amazing. Dorrance Armstrong might only get 5 or 6, and that's a great season.
Mhm.
Right.
But so
Right.
for a defensive player, it's so much more than sacks. And if you watch Dorrance Armstrong, he is the best at setting what is called a physical edge. And if you don't know what that means, you want to kind of funnel either a rusher or a passer into the middle because that's where you have the most people. And Dorrance Armstrong does an amazing job of holding that edge, right? He's the edge rusher. So he comes in and he holds his ground. So people can't go around him. And if they go through him, he's going to get up. And he did that multiple times. And he was fantastic this game at being able to kind of blow up plays, even if he's not getting credit for the sack or the tackle.
Right.
He is forcing a guy into his team, which is it just speaks to things starting to mesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he had five total tackles.
Yeah.
That's
2 sacks and 5
that's up
total
there.
tackles.
2
That's
assists,
a great game.
3
Yeah.
solo tackles.
Yeah.
You know?
He did fantastic.
Huge.
Yeah, who's keeping track of this? Like, who's out on the field looking at all this stuff? They got to compile this stuff.
That's a cool job.
Fast.
It is a cool job. People get paid good for that.
Because not only
statisticians.
Not only that, Tico, is like you're counting who got the tackle, but then you're also counting coverage rates, right? Like, how did Benjamin St. Juste do on this coverage that he wasn't even a part of the play? He was in the back somewhere, but you have to, like people come out with like, oh, their coverage rate was 75%. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but that sounds good.
But someone's
How
tracking
many
that.
pressures did they get?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's
Sooner or
crazy.
later, it'll all be done by AI, including the
I was
touchdowns.
just
I thought the same thing, Eddie. It's like it just pops right in your head, like all those jobs will be replaced.
What do we want to stay on defense for a minute? Because they gave up 33 points the week before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 2 weeks before against Cincinnati. No, that was the week.
That was the week before. That was the week before.
38-33. That was a tough game.
Actually, it was 6 days before. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So that was a tough game. And then to go from, we've gone from 37 points allowed to 18 to 33 back down to 14. So it's been up, down for the defense. But this one felt like something sustainable for some reason.
Yes.
I don't know why. It just felt like because Arizona has been a decent team for the last 5 years.
I always
last year they
kind of
fell off
defensively. I always thought they were a strong defensive team, but
this year before that game they were 4th in points scored in the league. So they were they did what we did to them to the Rams 2 weeks prior. They went toe to toe with Buffalo in week 1. Coming into this game, they were regarded as a potential playoff team. Their record wasn't awesome, but 1-2. That's what we were, right? Or no, that's not true.
We were 2-1.
We were 2-1. So it could have gone either way, but and the week before we saw Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like, we got to keep it.
We expected them. We expected Joe Burrow to have something, one of these breakout games, even though They started what 0-3?
0-3.
They started 0-3. They finally got they got off the
we
schneid.
made them 0-3. We made
We
them.
made
sure
them
did, yeah.
0-3.
Yeah.
We made them 0-3.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
They clicked
The
out.
last thing I want to say about the defense is something that you talked about, Dad, is you know, the kind of the growth of the communication, and there's still a work in progress, especially
Sure.
in the run game. You know, there's a play there where Jonathan Allen, who I talked about last week, I want to clarify this, or not clarify. I want to give up, you know, I want to
Call one on
Acknowledge-
yourself.
call one on myself. Not it's I still believe that if they're going to move a player, and on the defensive line, it's going to be Jonathan Allen. But at this point, we're 3-1, and I don't want to start talking about Yoffs, but it's in the picture. And if we get
Wait,
to
what's
the
Yoffs?
playoffs,
Don't say it.
Yeah.
if we
It's like
get to
shank in
week
golf.
8,
You can't say the S
Yeah,
word.
exactly.
Don't say it.
if we get to week 8 and have a good record, they're not moving anybody. I mean, you know,
Right.
like
Right.
that's where we're at. We might be taking on people, and we'll get to that too. But Jonathan Allen had a great game. But hold on, sorry, lost my train of thought. There's a play in the run game where Jonathan Allen and Jeremy Chin both kind of fill the same gap, and James Conner, the Arizona running back, kind of runs through the other gap that has a hole, and that kind of communication, that's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Right? Like guys are still kind of like, oh shoot, we're in the same place. You know, where that communication will get better throughout the season is now Jeremy Chin or you know, Jonathan Allen kind of went like this and then went this way, and Jeremy Chin was like already there.
Yeah.
Next time he'll go this way instead, and you know, they'll fill both those gaps. So that's where that growth kind of you don't see it on the field because it moves so fast. But when you watch it in the film, you're like, oh man, we were this close from a 10-yard game to a 1-yard game. You know, we were this close to a Kyler Murray got like a flip off. Like at one point, I'm like, damn, we were, if Frankie Louvu were to maneuver just a little bit quicker, that's a sack, you know? So,
well, you know what?
This is all a work in progress.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear you talking about growth, because I'll go back to week 1, you know, our week 1 show before we even played the first game. And I think, you know, the thing that we all talked about then is, you know, more important than what our record is this year, we're a new team. You know, we want to see growth this year. And I think over 4 games, they have well exceeded expectations, because you can really see from game 1 to 2 to 2 to 3 to 3 to 4, huge steps in, you know, between each game. And so
we don't want to see any
if this kind of thing can continue, then the sky is the limit, and we will be talking Yoffs.
I think that's a great segue into the growth that we wanted to see the most from the offense, and most importantly,
and our quarterback,
our number 2 pick, overall pick, Jayden Daniels, our quarterback, who, in my opinion, I always said this season's not about wins and losses; it's about the growth and maturation of our young quarterback. And I'll tell you that this is
Bradley, hold that thought 1 second.
Okay,
hold that thought.
Go for it.
Just because before we get off the defense,
please,
I want to give Jonathan Allen his flowers, because we've been talking about, you know, nobody's mentioning his name. He's not, you know, but so far, I mean, in that last game, he did register 5 tackles and a sack.
Yeah.
He got a sack.
Nice.
His best game by far.
His best game by far. And also, let's not forget, he's a captain. He's a leader in that clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And that is also a position for a veteran. You know, some teams just pick a guy. It's a second job. Some players get picked not even to play, but just to be in the locker room. So that's one thing Jonathan brings to the table, even more so than Duran. But Duran's now, you know, one of the veterans.
Yeah.
Both of them have been there pretty much longer than anybody else on the defense. So
they're anchoring that line, right?
They're anchoring,
And we got some young fellas on that line too. That you know are sitting behind those two and getting coached up, and you know that's invaluable to have those type of vets in front of you.
Right. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
That's good.
No, I appreciate that. That's a good point. All right,
So we wanted to get to Jayden.
And now back to Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, so I'm just saying
Wait, who's that?
his growth from my perspective is accelerated than I was expecting. And I think that, there's so much that we can talk about for the offense, but I think what stands out to me from this game is this was honestly more exciting for me to watch than the Cincinnati game. And I'll tell you why. Although the Cincinnati game had all the numbers, this game felt more sustainable, right? Like Jayden Daniels threw his first interception in this game.
Yep.
Right.
Jayden Daniels missed some throws this game. But you know what he did? He didn't let that rattle him. He came back and he scored 42 points and he was accurate. It didn't affect him, the mistakes that he made, because he made a couple. And he was unfazed and he continued to execute the offense at a very high level, which is really hard for a rookie quarterback to do, even if you had been perfect.
He was dissecting like
he was dissecting. So it just felt like this game more than the Cincinnati game, because 92% completion percentage is unheard of, right? Like
unheard of.
Unbelievable. And so to come in here and have a game that was nearly perfect, but with few mistakes, it felt like, okay, this is real. This is real. This isn't just a one-game wonder. This is who Jayden Daniel will be. And we can be confident in that. So that's why I was so excited about this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can say why Go ahead, Donnie.
Well, I was just gonna say that the accolades that you hear from around the pundits and the talking heads and people that I'm know way more about sports than I do, dissecting his play and breaking it down all the way down, by the way, to Ron Rivera. I heard him talking today, and Ron Rivera not only talking up Jayden Daniels, but I got to hand it to him because he was really talking up the coaching staff, like the way he's being coached and the way they're calling this game. So good for Ron to actually recognize
and thank
what
you,
good
Ron.
coaching is.
We got to remember to keep thanking Ron for putting us in this position.
That's right. He's the reason we got the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, the accolades and the statistics that you could go on forever. At best percentage over 4 games.
In history
Forever. Anyway, second place is Tom Brady.
And he has some guys up there with him. Tom Brady.
Company that in that list was, the elite of the elite.
Yeah,
it was all 5 of them, right? I mean, that's all there is. I'll tell you, you guys know that I was out of town. I was up in Ojai on a 3-day golf tournament with a back pain, like ridiculous. But I had to watch the game on my phone, and I didn't have, the advantage of YouTube TV, NFL ticket, Donnie's thing. I'm trying to play, and I must say right now, there's something about winning, okay? Yeah. And just the smile that I had on my face that whole day, my game started to improve, okay? And
it's contagious.
The reality is I was licking my wounds from the day before, because the day before was a team event, and I'll make this short, but it's about winning, okay? It's about achieving something. The last hole in the team event, my buddy and I were both playing really crappy, but I had one chance on the par 5 to get on in 2, and if I make eagle, it's probably going to be about a $500 putt.
Wow. And
I literally hit from like 220, put this thing on the green to 3 feet.
Whoa.
And they iced the kicker on me. I was like sitting there thinking about it, and it's above the hole, and it's going to break, and how much, and the greens were lightning, and I just missed it low, and then 3-jacked it, meaning I 3-putted from that spot.
Ooh.
So I didn't even get the birdie that I was going to. But anyway, long story short is the feeling that you get being that close, and I felt like for so many years we were always just that close.
Yeah.
And we have never been this close this early. Yeah. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I'm just saying right now, nothing feels better than the positive nature of what you see in Washington right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How people are rallying around this team, and Jayden is not being conceited. He's just confident, and he just knows he wants this, and he's going to do it. He's like the first one there in the morning at 4:30. What are we going over? He's online checking stats, looking at other players. this guy is the real deal. Like, I know everyone said that. It's so easy just to copy what everybody else said. If you want to go see what he did, go on YouTube, see all the great plays and listen to real experts. But the smile that I had in the golf cart driving around, even though I was going to shoot 93,
See,
like a friggin' idiot, I was getting a little
see,
bit.
they're the real experts. We're the real fans. That's the difference.
Right,
Eddie. You're in your golf
right.
cart with your phone, and you're
Yeah, and half the other guys are doing their, their fantasy football, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's
Right.
just like not paying
right.
attention to golf. We're like,
Hey
we're
guys,
out of
I
it.
got
We're
a
not
question.
playing
I got
all
a question for you guys. When is the last time you remember when we had 3 wins in a row?
We went on a 4-game winning streak in 2020 with Heineke. And
then it crumbled.
Yeah, and then it fell. Well, we went to playoffs.
In the playoffs. Yeah, right. That's right.
How about that? Heineke
and that was a good game. That was a fun game. I think that was the last time.
Against Tampa Bay.
Yeah. That was Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, yeah. But it didn't feel like this. That was
no, and that was the COVID year too. That was that crazy COVID year.
That's when I remember we beat the Eagles like 16-13 or something. You know what I mean? Like it's so different. Okay, let me.
But it was always a fluke, right?
Yeah,
it was always an amazing.
Yeah,
win
we would take that would be like one out of the blue game. That we would. Yeah.
Listen to this. The Giants and Jets fans, 140,000 Giants and Jets fans went to MetLife Stadium this week, once on Thursday and once on Sunday, and didn't see either of their teams score a touchdown. I have seen my team, who has been terrible for 30 years, score 10 touchdowns this week. 10!
In 1 week, right?
And they were stuck in Denver.
I can't believe it.
Arizona. Sorry.
I have more highlights to watch this week than 6 weeks of the NFL last year. When was the last? I think I can. If I went back, I don't think we scored 10 touchdowns until like week 6. Maybe.
So why would you go on YouTube to watch us? It's all going to be bad stats, not good stats.
I think that there was the stat was the last time we scored more than 38 points, 38 or more points, 2 games in a row, like 1991 or something crazy like that. And I've got one in front of me now. If we beat Cleveland and we go 4-1, it'll be the first time since 2008.
Wow.
You were 7, Bradley.
Yeah.
The last time we were 4-1.
I have a jaw-dropping stat, but I think we should do some analysis. Okay. And Tico, I want to hear from you because I know you're the stat man. What do we got? I know we did amazing. I want to hear from you. What do we got?
From the offensive side?
On the offensive side. We talked a little bit about Jayden. I know that there's some other players that we're gonna want to talk about, and some guys who stepped up big.
Just Jay.
Okay, well, as far as passing, he's ranked number 12th in the league, which sounds far off with all the hype that's been going on around him. But they're going by yardage. Geno Smith has 1,182 yards, and Jayden has 897. Right, so. The top 5 guys are already hit 1,000, but he's only 100 yards off 1,000.
Right.
So he's right up there with the top guys. I mean, everybody's so stacked in there. Most guys are, the top 20. They have, they got 800 yards. Everybody's got at least 800 yards.
Right.
And the top 5 have 1,000 yards.
But are they showing number of touchdowns in those stats as well? Like how many are responsible?
And completion percentage.
Yep.
Because we know Jayden Daniels number 1 there.
Yeah. And when you do add in touchdowns, you gotta add
82% versus Geno Smith at 72%, Brock Purdy 68.
So he's 10% off the next guy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but remember that percentage will go down the more games you have.
Yes.
Percentage
well, maybe. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
So
far, all they've gone is
watch this.
So far, all they've
Taylor Heineke's got 100%.
With what? How many
He threw
completions?
one
How many
pass.
passes? Yeah.
He's attempted 2.
He's 2 for 2.
He's 2 for 2.
He's 2 for 2.
And
He's with the Chargers. I didn't know Heineke had moved over to the Chargers.
Yeah.
So here's who I want to talk about.
Oh, that's because what's the name got hurt?
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Justin Herbert got hurt.
Here's who I want to talk about because Tico, you always say, like, 300 yards passing is a good day, and is a great 300 yards is a great day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 250 is a really good day.
And that's what Jayden had, but 250 doesn't tell the story, because what we had in rushing is what told the story. And we had 2 guys, one who rushed for 101 yards, that's Brian Robinson, had a fantastic day, and one guy who stepped up huge in the absence of Austin Eckler, and somebody sound off his name.
Let's hear it for Jeremy McNichols. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all nervous, like, oh no, Austin's going to be hurt. What's that going to do to the run game? Brian's got to carry the whole load by himself. And Brian practically did. 101 yards. Jeremy McNichols, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, so that dude stepped up big.
It wasn't like he just walked into the end zone like it was a 1 yard play. He has a 20 something yard touchdown, and the other one was closer, but he had some big run. He had a 4th and 1 run that went for 15 yards.
Yeah, but why? Think about this though. What do you think was the reason that these guys had these holes to run in? Is because the defense of the Cardinals was freaking out of whether or not Jayden was going to run, or if he's going to do a shuttle pass, or if he was going to. Who knows?
Well, but also, Eddie,
what's the other reason?
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say that's not what I thought you were going to say.
They didn't game plan for Jeremy. There's
another reason.
There's another reason. Dad, you say it.
Offensive
line. Come on, the O-line. Give it up for the O-line. They were giving Jayden plenty of time to throw, and they were opening up holes for B. Robin and Jeremy McNichols.
Was it me, or did Jayden look like he had a picnic back there?
Yeah,
he did.
0 sacks.
Oh, there's 5 more guys open. Bing.
0 sacks. 1 pressure, 3 hurries.
That's and back to McNichols,
and no holding calls.
He ran for about 8 yards a carry, 8.5 yards a carry.
Right.
He averaged 8.5 yards a carry.
Yeah,
with 2 tubs and a 27 yarder.
Yeah.
And look good. So we got 3 strong running backs.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
We don't unfortunately we don't miss Antonio Gibson. He's a nice guy. We don't miss him. Or
he did great.
Or his fumbles.
He did great to be a wide receiver, switch to a running back.
Yeah.
And we talked about pre-show, but we'll kind of talk about this a little bit more when we talk about the Browns. But Austin Eckler is recovering from a concussion, and they brought him back to practice this week on a limited basis. But in my opinion, I think we give him another week, because I have confidence in our 3rd running back.
No question.
And I apologize to Jeremy McNichols. I wasn't familiar with your game, sir.
Right.
I mean, we were all worried, but holy moly, did this guy step up, and he was named one of the captains before the game too, which is
nice.
Great for him.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because they're doing rotating captains.
It's rotating captains.
Oh, that's
new
right.
captains
that's
every
right.
week. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's why my picture was on the wall for Employee of the Month.
that's completely different, Eddie.
Yeah.
Does Jayden Daniels get to stay captain the whole time?
No, he hasn't been one yet.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
They name 4 new captains every week.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So also, the other guy
let's go back to Jamison Crowder has been out too. They placed him on injured reserve.
He's on IR.
I don't care about Jamison Crowder.
He's a good runner. He's a good return man, because he's not playing much offense. And we haven't had
we know Austin Eckler
return man in
He's
years.
not returned
man.
yet.
No, we got Austin Eckler when he's healthy.
We didn't have it. There wasn't a ton of opportunity for returns this time.
There wasn't much in this game. Yeah.
But
but
one of the guys who was sitting back there for Austin Eckler is one of the guys I wanted to highlight this game is Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yes.
Who, in the first game, he had like 1 or 2 drops, and I was like, get him off my team. I don't want to see him ever again. But leading pass catcher this game with, I think, 68 yards And I want to talk about the passing offense because my commandment
85 yards.
Oh, my apologies, Alameda.
Yeah,
85 yards. My commandment was to get Terry McLaurin over 6 catches, and I think he had 7. So
he did.
But Jayden Daniels really spread the ball around in the pass game because Alameda Zacchaeus caught the ball and went for a lot of yards. Terry McLaurin had a decent game with a touchdown. Zach Ertz had made some big plays. Noah Brown
stepping up, right?
Come on. Even John Bates had a big game. And then Luke McCaffrey with the catch and throw of the game.
That was so sweet to see Luke catch that ball.
Yeah.
That throw was elite level.
That was the best. And I honestly, maybe I'll take a video and send it to you guys, because go watch that play again and watch Jayden Daniels' hips and watch his eyes, because you can see him go through 3 progressions, and the instant he sees it, it's so fast.
Yeah.
To get hit, this is elite movement, and I'll send you the video where I watched this guy break down this play. Getting his hips around to angle towards that throw to make that split-second decision. Luke McCaffrey is just breaking open, putting it right here. That was and Jayden Daniels missed a couple throws. Like, let's be honest. One to Noah Brown, which we got bailed out by a penalty. One to Terry McLaurin, which was a little bit high for him. And then of course the interception.
81%.
But then
he missed 4. He missed 4 passes.
And one was not really like I don't count that. I mean, it was a miss, but he didn't miss him per se.
Did he throw one? Was that the one he threw away, kind of?
Yeah, exactly. But seeing him pass like this gives me so much confidence that I feel like I'm nitpicking when I look at, like,
I know. I mean, look, going back to Luke McCaffrey.
You want 84% now, 90%?
Like, hey, Luke McCaffrey is 7 crazy. Targets, 7 receptions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so for the year, I didn't know that.
He's missed Terry more than anybody.
Yeah.
He's targeted Terry, but we're talking about times,
We're talking about a week 4 rookie here. And
this is great. It's
4 or 5 rounds to a box.
He's gonna miss some guys
up the distance of that.
He's gonna miss some guys deep. He's gonna throw an interception here and there. To think that in game 4 was his first interception and it was 1, and they scored 42 points. This is better than we could have imagined, guys.
And they scored 42 points. We've talked about it. Tress Way has had 1 punt in the last 3 games.
3 games, yeah.
4 on the season. 4 punts.
So I guess
we have not even missed Tress. It was our little inside joke that he's our best player.
Yeah, it was.
And all of this. He kindly gave up number 5 for the number 10 to Jayden Daniels, and I could see his personality. Hey man, with you out here, I'm probably not even gonna be on the field anyway. So take number 5.
So let me drop this
5 punts this year. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me drop this mind-blowing stat for you. This one like hurt me. Hurt me in a good way.
Okay.
On the year, we have 23 scoring drives. 23 scoring drives.
Out of how many attempts?
I'm not sure.
No,
but
okay.
Here's what we have 23 scoring drives, and we have 19 incomplete passes.
Wow.
More scoring drives than incomplete passes.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Is that not, I mean, if that doesn't say what it should, it says that this offense is unbelievable from a game plan perspective. Our running game, everything is clicking on offense, and our quarterback is elite with his accuracy. Like that is what that tells me. I mean, it's
but is it sustainable? Is it sustainable? That's
of course.
We're going to go up against.
Why not?
Really tough.
Of course. Why not?
Why not?
Eddie,
why not?
Let's
Look,
not be negative.
Eddie, I love you because that is a perfect transition into our next game. Is it sustainable?
Yeah, well,
let's talk about.
But before we do, I just want to say, let's give it up for the guy who had to be given the game ball before they leave that city, right? I mean, to me, that's what that statistic
That was a
says.
great video.
Cliff Kingsbury is doing a killer job. You know, he's using the talent to their best ability, you know, and anyway, you know, that's what I hear in that stat. So, but okay, let's transition.
Well, before we do, actually, we're going to do a little commanding attention and talk about two things real quick. Number one is we are alone at the top of the NFC East, gentlemen.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
we are.
By a game and a half.
Not sharing that with anyone. Yeah.
So that's number one. And number two is the question at the top of the show. Davante Adams is officially on the trade block. And I talked about it last week that Washington was looking for maybe wide receiver help.
Yeah.
What do we think about Davante Adams? Do we want him? Do we not? What it will take to get him? What would we give up to get him? I want to hear from y'all.
Not interested. First of all, I'm not interested. Okay. Love the guy, love his game. It's too much right now. It's too, the train is going in a good direction. We got some good receivers.
Yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from Terry. And
there's enough stars on this team. There's enough stars on the team right now.
Well, here's what I love about the team that Adam Peters and team have put together. They're not just building a great team with great players. There's a culture they're building too. And I just feel like a player like Davante Adams, he's an elite player. I don't want to take anything away from his talent, but he brings a certain energy to the team and to the field that I don't know that we need right now. That is that kind of distraction.
It might not be the right fit, you know.
It doesn't feel like the right fit to me. I love that this is a culture you can feel proud of, you know, and you can see it in the players, you can feel it within the players that they feel it too, you know. So
the puzzle pieces, and sometimes the puzzle pieces just don't fit. You know, it's the same thing with like other players where you see they go into a team and they're superstars and they can't do anything on that team at all. Like I feel like right now they're working more on the whole cultural aspect of our team. They're making decisions based on camaraderie, who's clicking with this guy, and then they're all learning the system. You introduce this new puzzle piece and the thing doesn't fit. It just it throws everybody off.
And here's my kind of take on it. And Eddie, that's a great point. They're building off camaraderie, but they're also building for the future. And you know, Davante Adams isn't going to be cheap. And I'm talking about cap space, but I'm also talking about draft picks. We would have to give up, you know, draft picks. And I know Adam Peters kind of his philosophy is build from the draft. And so if it was cheap enough, which it's not going to be, you take it 100% because like Dad said, he's an elite pass catcher. But here's the problem is, and I talked about it already, this offense, Jayden Daniels progression is already escalated. Like we're seeing growth from this kid that we weren't expecting. And if we're going to pick up a piece like Davante Adams, it's escalating it further. And it's like, we're almost putting too much expectation on this season. Are we gonna go out because we think we're contenders and we're gonna go build this superstar team? That almost seems like, yeah, but we're not ready for that. We're kind of building for the future. I can see us making a move like that, going and getting some elite talent on either the pass catching, on the defense somewhere like a quarterback or an edge rusher next year or the year after, and spend some big money on a big name like that. That's definitely coming up. This year, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. Well, that was fairly unanimous.
That's weird.
I don't know that it's unanimous across the league, but we all agree at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird for us to say when we've had, you know, just some dud seasons for so long. That we have this much confidence. That's really what we're saying. We're good.
We're good. I can't wait to see what things are going to be like in that stadium. It's not FedEx Field anymore. It's Northwest Field, Northwest Stadium, this Sunday. With that team going in there 3-1 with the last 3 games that they've had. I mean, I just feel like the energy is going to be back in that stadium. It's going to be.
Let me. Can I add one last thing that I didn't?
Sure.
My mind. I don't want to forget it. When I look at Jayden Daniels' potential, it seems like he could be in that elite talking group of top 5 quarterbacks at some point in his career.
Yeah,
like, sure. Seems like
I don't think it's crazy to say that after 4 games.
So what I was saying is like do we really need a Davante Adams? Do you need somebody that's
Right.
going to be a little bit too much of a showman? It costs too much money. I don't think so, because what did Tom Brady, the best of the best, do?
Yeah, it's a good point.
He would be able to throw so accurately to anyone. He did it to guys who didn't even have careers.
Yeah.
I think Jayden Daniels is going to make a lot of receivers that much better because he's so accurate that the ball is there for you to catch. You become better.
And that's what we're seeing from Jalen Hurts.
Like that.
It's Jalen Hurts is not elite. He's good. He's great, but he doesn't elevate the people around him. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are out, and what is he doing? Nothing. He's losing games. So
yeah. So the driver's seat is with Jayden, not with the receiver, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about these Browns, because I do think that this will be a test for Jayden and the Cliff Kingsbury offense, because this is by far and away the best defense that we will look at this season. Tampa Bay might be close, but they do not have a Myles Garrett. They do not have oh man, now I'm thinking.
We got to give it to these guys who do this for a living, full time. The Stephen A. Smiths of the world, who have so many names that they have
the
to
recall.
We're the weekend warriors here. So don't feel bad, Bradley.
Although usually we lean on Bradley for this.
They've got a great cornerback. Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, and they have another safety that's really scary. They have Quentin Jefferson as D tackle. He's incredible. They have another safety that I'm scared of, and his name is maybe they got rid of him. I don't know who I was thinking of. But they got some players on defense, man. They really do.
So let's just say, for instance, they're going to rush Jayden to try to hurry him. He's got the fast release. We can get rid of those little quick down shots. They have great edges. They have great edge guys. So he's going to be running up the middle against them. They'll have Robinson cutting off tackle. I think we're going to be fine with these guys.
I think so too.
We have been honing our skills, over these past 3 weeks. Like I say, you see improvement every week. So it's good that we kind of had this lead up going into a stronger defense like the Browns. I wouldn't call them an elite defense, but yes, I've heard that said too. It's probably the best defense we've faced all season up to this point. So
what do you think our approach is going to be, Donnie? Do you think we're going to have an approach where
I think they're gonna stick to a balanced offense. They like, you want to establish the run, and so you can open up play action. You want to let Jayden Daniels make good decisions. Here's the other thing I was going to say when you were talking about the time he had back there, Eddie, because you did mention it. He's taken the time and going through his progression. I love seeing it, and he's making good decisions. When he decides to tuck and run, it's the right decision because he's got guys covered. So you run the ball, you establish the run, you let Jayden do his thing and make good decisions. And when he needs to tuck and run, he'll tuck and run. And, you kind of lean on what you've been doing right. And I'm sure Cliff will have some nice schemes up his sleeve too, some little trickery, some pulling guards or whatever, So you lean on what's worked.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing is that Cleveland's a little banged up right now. On their offensive line, they got 4 people who are questionable for this next game. And then the backups, their backup right guard, Wyatt Teller, he's on IR. The right tackle is banged up, and his backup is backed up. The center, Ethan Pochik, I think that's how you say Posick or Pochik, he's questionable. And the left tackle's questionable. And his backup's questionable. The tight end, David Njoku, is questionable. So
he's back. He's back to questionable. I thought he was out for the season. He took a nasty hit in week 1.
Let's see if he's
so out. So you're right, because
even Myles Garrett on defense is on the questionable.
Play. You know who's questionable for us is Brian Robinson. So
he's got a knee.
But he's gonna play. These guys. Sometimes they list him as questionable or limited,
they still play. Yeah,
and they're gonna play. The one guy,
but we don't know. We don't know, Bradley. We don't know. And if
I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night. So
and and if they do. you know, okay, let's face it, football, by this time in the year, everybody's starting to pick up their little dings and bangs for the season, at least their first one. And but it makes a difference. It makes a difference when these guys are, got extra tape and their knee is not at full strength and they're favoring one side to another. So these scouting reports and these injury reports, these coaches look at this stuff,
Of
they
course,
go, okay, Nick Chubb is out. We don't have to worry about Nick Chubb. They can focus on Jeremy Ford.
So that's
Kareem
the one guy
Hunt is out.
That's the one guy I have circled is Nick Chubb because his practice window started this week. And I'm just like, please, just one more game. Play against whoever you play next. One more game. Our run defense is still, still not ideal. It's still our weak point of our defense. And I do not want Nick Chubb having his resurgence versus the Washington Commanders defense. That is not what I want to happen.
Yeah, and he's probably they got it. He returned to practice Wednesday as a limited. But his status is out.
Good. Let's keep.
Oh, it is. Oh, that's good. Okay, I hadn't heard that either. I heard what Bradley heard. Okay, good.
Yeah. So
and we still don't know. I mean, this is all speculation.
It's Wednesday. Yeah, right. So
it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't mind if Nick stayed out a little bit. But Jerome Ford is a bad boy too.
He's no.
These are moments when the guys who don't usually get to show themselves get to show.
Yeah. I mean, he's been watching, for the last 3 or 4 seasons behind Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's been a lot of
the Cleveland offense has been horrible.
Right. They're 1-3. They're 1-3.
Through 4 weeks, they have not looked good. And even in their one win, they Sean Watson cannot not in the end zone. He consistently is taking sacks. He turns the ball over at least once. Jerome Ford, although Tico, I agree with you, is not a terrible running back. He's no Nick Chubb. That you would think is Cleveland has this elite running offense because they had this elite running back, and they don't have that anymore. So their offense has struggled. Amari Cooper is getting up there in age. They have the other guy from the Broncos. I can't think of his name.
Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy, who led them in receiving last week. So what I want to make sure is they don't have their get right game against us. And
that's what I get nervous about. Oh, we're all picking them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The get right game.
Because a lot of teams that used to happen all the time, right?
Yeah,
and it happened to Cleveland a couple of years ago. To us,
with us.
Deshaun Watson was coming off of his suspension. They played us. If we won, we were in the playoffs. If we lost, we were out. Ron famously was like, "I didn't know we could be eliminated."
What? We were going to eliminate,
and we laid an egg. Deshaun Watson looked incredible, and this is the game that it's like this cannot happen again.
Right.
So I want to make sure our defense is, I want our get right game on defense. I thought this was our get right game on defense. We had it last week, which is fantastic. Let's keep it going.
Well,
I predict we'll hold them to 17 points.
Okay.
And we will beat them by at least 10.
Awesome.
Yeah.
27, 17.
That's my call.
Look, guys, we need to start wrapping this up anyway. And what you're all talking about is leading right to my my commandment for the game. So I just feel like I'm going to jump into it. Yes, it's defense. It's been every week, right? But this time with a twist, it's run defense specifically, right? Because I feel like that was the weak point even last week, even in a game that we clobbered them. That the run defense has struggled so much. So last week I said I wanted our defense to hold them to under 30 points, and maybe we would score more than 30. Well, we did score more than 30, and we definitely held them to under 30 because I was hesitating about saying I really want to make it 24, but I don't know that we can do that. Shoot, we held them under 24. We held them under 20. Yeah. So I thought maybe I've got some little magic juju going out in the universe. I say it works. So this week I'm saying hold them to under 100 yards rushing. That's
wow.
thou shalt hold them to less than 100 yards rushing.
Awesome. As a team or as one player?
As a team.
Okay.
Yeah.
100 yards rushing.
Woo.
And that follows right into mine, which was pretty good too, because
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself the same thing that everyone else was saying. Okay, who's the quarterback again? For
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
I was ready to say Lamar because I'm thinking weeks ahead to Ravens.
No, let's
Deshaun
hope they don't
Watson
do that. Yeah.
Deshaun Watson isn't really playing his best right now.
No.
So my thing is, thou shalt score early and often, forcing Cleveland to have to throw.
Nice.
Yeah.
Taking
I like
away
that,
the
Eddie.
run game that they want to get implemented, and if they don't get it started, they're going to have to start air assault.
That will fit right in with mine, won't it? Yeah. That's perfect.
So I guess mine is talking about our offense and their defense. They've got a number one. They've got a fantastic corner. They've got some good secondary. I think they limit our pass game a little bit. I don't know how much. We still, there's still a lot of question marks. Is it sustainable? That's the question that we're going off of, and we'll see this weekend. But I expect them to have a game plan against some of our receivers. Jayden Daniels, similar to Kyler Murray, when he rolls out to his right, he is fantastic. When he rolls out to his left, he runs. That's on tape now, So I assume that Myles Garrett is going to be lined up a lot on the right side, forcing Daniels to his left. So I want to see Jayden Daniels kind of get more used to going to his left. So the one place that I have seen Cleveland struggle with is their run game. And our run game has been fantastic. So I am calling to Cliff Kingsbury, thou shalt have a fantastic run game scheme. I am looking for Cliff Kingsbury to come into Cleveland knowing that they have struggled in their run defense and scheme up a run game that rivals what we've done so far, which I know is a tall order because we've had some great running games against the Giants and against the last week against the Cardinals. So thou shalt scheme a beautiful run game.
Nice.
Thou shalt get 4 sacks and limit Amari Cooper.
All right.
Very nice. I love it.
All right. You want to put a yardage on that with Amari or anything like that? Or you want to?
No. I'm taking us to win this game.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That was our next question.
All the way.
So Tico is winning.
By the way, all of us picked us to win this last game, and we did. So we stayed even with Tico and Bradley.
I'm going for the win.
We have to go for the win. I'm going
for the win.
In fact, we all have W's. Like
we're right behind us.
Here's my thing, guys. You hear about a trap game. You hear about a team that is full of momentum versus a team that is lacking momentum, and you have a game like Baltimore 2 weeks ahead. You fear that your team doesn't look ahead until, okay, this isn't, 1-3 team. We're 3-1, let's beat them and move on to Baltimore. So, I think with that being said, I'm going with the W because we're on a roll, baby. I knew
you were setting us up.
Who was falling for it? Nobody was falling for it.
Nobody's falling.
I've done it too many times.
You did that. You've been to the well one too many times.
All right, I'll have to start switching up, but thank you. That's a wrap for this episode of Command West. Thank you for watching. We hope you had just as much fun watching as we did, bringing you the latest and the greatest on the Burgundy and Gold. Please sound off in the comments. You are our 5th commandment. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and comment your 5th commandment. Tune in next week. Thanks.
See ya.
Hey guys, thanks so much.